Tonight, Governor Bobby Jindal of Louisiana is taking fire from some major Muslim groups after he suggested a ban on those who might promote radical Islam.
We do insist that folks should not come into our country and use the freedoms we give them to undermine the freedoms we grant to everybody. So in other words, we shouldn't tolerate those who want to come and try to impose some variant or some version of Sharia law.
Then came the backlash. First, the Muslim Public Affairs Council said what he is doing is fear-mongering. This is another one of those issues where he is using fear to garner votes. Then a statement from CARE, the Council on American-Islamic Relations, who wrote, Governor Jindal's anti-Muslim diatribes are a desperate attempt to pander to society's margins as he hopes to regain the GOP spotlight and crawl away from being nearly dead last in U.S. presidential polls. Louisiana Governor Bobby Jindal is here. Governor, thank you for being here. Your response to those reactions?
Well, Megyn, thank you for having me. Look, America is built on religious liberty. We don't discriminate against anybody of any religion, and certainly there are many Muslims who are proud, patriotic Americans, and that's great. But, Megyn, it's also true that there are radical Muslims. There are Muslims that want to treat women as second-class citizens. There are those that want to use our freedoms to undermine the freedoms of others. It makes no sense to let those types of folks come into our country. It's just common sense. The question I was specifically asked, for example, was would I be for allowing members of ISIS to come to America? Why would I want to allow people who want to kill Americans to come to America? Megyn, you know, some of these same groups that come after you.
Members of ISIS may be a different story. I mean, those are identified terrorists, you know, who are killing us and our allies. But just to say that if you are a radical Islamist, or more specifically, if you believe in Sharia law, that you won't be allowed into the United States is controversial. Who decides how far into Sharia law you have to be? Who decides who's a radical Islamist and who's just an Islamist?
Well, Megyn, here's the line. In America, we say you have the right to believe what you want as long as you're not harming others. So as long as you're not trying to limit the freedoms of other people. We believe in the right of freedom of self-expression, religious liberty, freedom of speech, freedom of association. You don't have the right to come here and say, for example, that you think women should be treated as second-class citizens. You don't have the right to say others don't have the same freedoms we give to you.
Why don't you have that right? Why not? This is a country with lots of crazy beliefs. And actually, some religions continue to treat women as second-class citizens. And it's not just some forms of Islam. I mean, are we going to start banning everybody who doesn't treat women or children or criminals, for that matter, the way we like?
Well, Megyn, we're talking about who do we let into our society, into our country. And if you want to see where this is happening, look to Europe. We shouldn't be blindly following Europe, where you've got second, third generation immigrants that don't assimilate, don't integrate, don't consider themselves parts of those society. In America, we want people who want to be Americans. We want people who want to come here. We don't say you have to adopt our creed or any particular creed, but we do say if you come here, you need to believe in American exceptionalism. I believe you need to learn English.
How are we going to enforce that?
And I believe you've got to respect the freedoms of other people.
How are we going to enforce that as a country where we believe in free speech, freedom of ideas, and people are allowed to believe anything they want, even if it's nuts?
Well, no, but Megyn, in immigration, we've historically said immigration can make our country stronger. We've historically said you can't come here in years past during the Cold War if you were coming here to promote communism, if you were coming here to undermine America's foreign policy, if you were supporting a group that was an enemy of the United States. There's nothing wrong in saying we want immigrants who will make our country stronger, not weaker. We don't want people who are going to come here that are dedicated to radical Islamic terrorism or radical Islam. We don't want people who are going to undermine freedoms for other people. If we don't insist on that, we're going to go the way of Europe, and I think that's a dangerous thing. Again, we believe in religious liberty, but that doesn't mean you can use your freedoms to undermine the freedoms of other people. Now, the specific question I was asked, what I responded to was, did I think it was okay to allow members of ISIS and certain members of the Muslim Brotherhood to come into America? I think a smart immigration policy leads to a stronger country.
As a matter of fact, I mean, the audience should know that that has been controversial. Believe it or not, we are allowing people who have fought with ISIS to come back into the country. If there's to the point where there's a bill in Congress trying to stop that. Governor, good to see you.
Megyn, thank you for having me.